Are you there?
Yes. Greetings, everybody, and happy Sabbath. Welcome to another live broadcast on the truthmadeplain.com with Bishop R.A. Campbell. Now, today we have a great lesson for you. If you have any questions, at the bottom of the page of the truthmadeplain.com site, you can ask your questions in the contact form. There's also a chat bubble on the site, and we're also streaming live on Facebook. And so you can ask your question in the comment section there, and you can share it on Facebook and all your social media outlets. Okay? I'm Elder Rick Johnson, and I'm going to introduce Bishop R.A. Campbell by saying amen. Happy Sabbath, Bishop.
All right. Praise the Lord out there, saints. And we are back again in the end time message. Now we are praying. The whole world is praying that love Jesus, that he will soon return back from the right hand of the Father to set up the kingdom of God on earth as it is in heaven. Now there's a lot of suffering going on, a lot of disappointments going on because of the plague that's been going on for several months. And over 160,000 people have passed away. And there are almost 7 million who have been sick with the plague. Now, God is doing this to the world because man has aggravated the Most High by following Satan the devil, and have aggravated the Most High because this is his world, not the devil's world. But men have rejected him and chose to serve Satan the devil. So he's spanking his kids with this plague. Some he's putting to sleep, and some he's spanking, hoping they will change their minds about the way they are living. Now, we don't want you living like that. We don't want you getting no spanking from God, or don't want you getting no sleep from him, which is death. So we ask you to be obedient. Now, we're going back into the church on the high day of the Feast of Trumpets, which is in September. And St. Dottie's going to let everybody know what time to go back, and she's going to let everybody know what time they need to take off from their jobs on these holy days. So she's going to call all the saints, and she's going to tell them all what to do. Also, she's going to get with you so you can pay your tithes, because you want to get a big blessing. If you never paid your tithes before, this is the time to pay them, because this is the time that you need God more than you ever needed him. So go on and make a sacrifice and pay your honest tithes, and Dottie will get in touch with her. She'll pick them up from you. And so you'll be all right where you'll be blameless, where the plague can't come nigh you. Now remember what the Most High said, that 1,000 gonna fall at your right hand and 10,000 at your left hand. But if you're obeying God, then it ain't gonna come nigh you. You're not gonna be touched with it. But if you're being disobedient, stealing from God, doing things that God done told you not to do, breaking the 7-day Sabbath, then it's a possibility that it's going to touch you. And you don't want that to happen to you. You don't want to end up sick and in the hospital and may end up dead. So be obedient to the Most High. Pay your tithes. Live holy. Live sanctified. Keep sin out your personality. And do the right thing. And God said that it will not come nigh you. It'll come next to you, next to your neighbor, but it won't touch you. So you got to do the right thing. Now, we have to explain to you what's going on in the world. We just can't keep teaching you just how to live holy, but we got to teach you how to take care of yourself in Satan's world. Now, God told you to watch and pray. He told you to watch and pray. Now, when he said watch, he wants you to watch current events. What's going on out in Satan's world? The main thing is two main things going on now that you got to know something about. And that is this plague that's going on, and you got to know something about this election that's coming up. Now, we was blessed as black people to be able to vote. But you got to know how to vote. We got the right to vote. Johnson fixed it, President Johnson fixed it where we could vote. But we got to learn how to vote. These people don't know how to vote than a goose do. Vote means that you're supposed to be able to negotiate what kind of treatment you want. You ain't just supposed to vote for somebody because they're giving you some stamps. You're supposed to find out who's running, whether he be a Republican from the Lincoln Party or a Democrat from them Dixiecrats down there that had you in slavery. Now, we so naive that all we do is vote one way. They call us yellow dog Democrats. A yellow dog Democrat means that you're going to vote Democrat no matter who is running. They could be running a goose, you're going to vote Democrat. Now, there's a blue dog Democrat as well, but that's a Democrat that looks at vote parties and find out which party is going to give us a godly understanding, that like God. You know, we're going to make they're going to vote for somebody that got God's ways. They got God's ways over Satan's ways. That's a blue dog Democrat. He's going to search and say, well, this party will give me some food stamps, but they got so many wicked things against God, so I can't deal with them. Voting is the best thing happened to us in North America. That gave us a chance to choose you this day who you're going to serve. Now, so you got to make sure whatever you vote, you got to look at both candidates, both parties. Because we only have two parties, really. These other parties ain't going to do nothing. And the party that is willing to go God's way is the party you want to vote for. Now, if the party don't go God's way or want to pass some laws that God hates, then you can't go with that party. Voting means that you're educated. Vote means that you know how to make a choice benefiting God. Now let's go to the book of Zephaniah, chapter number 2, verse number 1 and verse number 2. I want to show you something this morning. Now we got to understand the two things that's going on is the plague, and to keep it from hitting you, you pay your tithes and you obey God and you love God and you keep his 10 commandments. Then you ain't going to be plagued. Then the next thing is that you got to pick a president that is going to do God's business. Now, nobody is 100% squeaky clean, but you got to get somebody that at least believe in doing things that God like. God don't like sin. He definitely don't like nobody that legalize sin. He hates sin anyway, but when you legalize it, then he really hates you. Now, you got to be able to understand that. Somebody got to teach you how to vote. Now, we've been voting Democrat, but Democrats have been voting against God. They've been going against God. They done passed laws that God hates. Democrat, when you have the power to vote, which is the most beautiful thing in the world, to be able to vote, you got to vote educated, godly educated, not worldly educated. This is God's world. This ain't Satan's world. God let him run around here and tempt everybody, but in reality, it's God's world. So I got to teach you how to vote, because you don't know how to vote. Our folks don't know how to vote than a goose do. You got to make sure you're voting that something that God is going to approve of your vote and bless you. Now, this is what he says in Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1 through 2. Read it loud, Brother Rick.
Zephaniah chapter 2?
Yes, the Zephaniah chapter number 2, verse 1 and verse 2.
Okay. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
Now, nobody desire you. God told us to gather together because nobody desires. We're the only people on the planet Earth that nobody desires. So we're supposed to gather together as one people, get us a very smart black man that knows how to deal with both white and black people, and use him as a leader to negotiate for us to the Gentiles. That's what I thought my big brother Obama was going to do. He had a chance to really be able to gather together with us and represent us real good, because he was educated, he was good looking, he was smart, he had a beautiful family, but then he went around and instead of helping us, he went around and passed some laws that made God upset with us. Now, we got to understand that we are not desired of nobody. Quit thinking that they love you because they gave you some food stamps. The only people love you is the Most High and His Son, Yahshua. We don't even love ourselves. If we loved ourselves, we would quit killing one another. Now he said, gather yourself together, all your nation, talking about the so-called Negro nation, which is black Israel. Gather yourself together, because nobody desires you. And then get you a real good, smart black leader that knows how to deal with white folks. Because white folks, all they do is they'll help you one way and they'll stab you another way. Now, for years since we've been voting, they've been helping us with some food and some place to stay. But they kept killing our little black babies in the womb. Over 60 million black babies been killed in the womb. And then they turn around and pass that our boys could be a sissy. That could be a homosexual. Then they turn around and made our told our boys, our girls, they could be lesbians. They was not voting. They gave us something, but they kept us paralyzed. Then they took all our energy because they said, don't worry about it. No, we're going to take care of you ourselves. Now, God done told you, gather yourself together, you nation that's not desired. Nobody desired the so-called Negro. They gave you a cut-off name to keep you away from your land. When they gave you that name, Negro, they gave you a cut-off name. Then you complained about the word Negro. And then they gave you another cut-off name, Afro-American. You ain't no bit more no Afro-American than a goose is. You are the children of Israel. The man wrestled for the name. Nobody got that name without wrestling with an angel. You didn't even have that name. You had the name Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You had their name. But Jacob wrestled with an angel and got you a name that everybody want to take from you, and that's Israel. That name means you got power with God and man and have prevailed. They stole your name. They said, let's get rid of the name Israel because that name is too powerful, and the way they got rid of it was gave you another name. They always, when they take you in captivity, give you another name. They gave Daniel another name when he went into captivity, Belteshazzar. They gave Hananiah. They gave them all other names. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That wasn't their name. That was the name of the Babylonian gods. They always want to give you a name so you won't go know your name and you won't get nothing. When you don't know your name, you can't explain nothing, you don't know nothing. That's when they want to change your name. Now they changed all our names, Robert Campbell, John Jones, and all that stuff. So you think you are European. Those are European names. Now, since you got all these names, you ain't interested in the name Israel no more because you got these names. The Gentiles gave you these names. They cut you off with these names. See, they cut us off by taking our name. And then they gave our name to a white boy, Israel. They gave some little white folks our name. And they run around with our name, and we run around with a bunch of Gentile names, and we keep calling ourselves Afro-Americans and colored people, and we act like somebody hit us in the head and we got amnesia, and we don't know what to do next. Now God said, gather yourself together. They read that again, Rick. We're going right back to Zephaniah 2, verse 1 and 2.
Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired. Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as a chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you.
Did you hear that said? Gather yourself together before the fierce of the Most High Yah come upon you. Now we supposed to gather together. Johnson gave us a right to vote. Wonderful, wonderful. A beautiful gentleman that passed away, you know, the House of Representatives. And they laid him down where Lincoln was laid. A wonderful funeral. Oh, it was so beautiful. But then after they gave he fought for the right to vote, then they still had him killing his babies. He was still voting for people that's killing his own little black kids. You got to have a sharp black man that know how to deal with these white folks. White folks is oh man, you got to be very sophisticated to deal with these jokers. Because they'll give you one thing in one hand and take your other hand and stick some dirt in it against yourself. And that's what they've been doing. They're getting ready to do it again with this Biden election and this Donald Trump. Now, Trump ain't no better than Biden, but at least he's doing something that God like. He's trying to get the Supreme Court to vote out same-sex marriage and abortion. Now, the two evils, you got to choose the one that God, that's getting rid of things that God don't like. Now, we need a strong black man that know how to negotiate with white folks. You know, I learned how to deal with white folks when I was 13 years old. I learned how to deal with them. Now, I was working on 6th Street Market. It ain't too many black folk out there know what anything about 6th Street Market, because that was way back in the 40s. And the white man I worked for, his name was Joe. Now, he was a nice white man to me, because I used to cut corn for him and shell beans and put all the vegetables out. So one day he got real busy waiting on customers. And I said, Joe, can I help you work on some of them customers? He said, well, you don't know how to use the scale, Robert. You know, you don't know how to. I said, yes, I do, Joe. I've been watching you. If the lady wants 5 pounds of potatoes, I'm going to use that 5 pound weight, and I'm going to put it on there, and then I'll put the potatoes on the other side, and when it worked even, she done got her 5. He said, well, I didn't know you had done all that. Get up on the stand and help me. And that's when I got up there, and then I learned how to deal with these white folks. You can't let them know everything you're doing, but when they need you, you got to know what to do. So when they need you, you can go on your own. And from that, I was able to go home. He would give me this stuff. He said, I set the stand up at night, and then you can have all the leftover vegetables to sell. And I was just selling vegetables and stuff. And 13 years old, I was making $40 on a Saturday afternoon selling the vegetables. That's the time my mother came up there. I never forget it. And I was smoking, and she didn't lie no smoking going on, and I swallowed the cigarette with the fire and all. You know, she said, well, she came up at the church because she was a Sabbath keeper, and she said, give me some of the potatoes over there, and that was my mother. I looked up and I was smoking, and then I swallowed the whole cigarette. She said, what you doing up here? I said, Mama, I just, the sun was down, I left, and I'm helping Joe. You know, I've been up there all day long, but, you know, I just told her a lie because I sneaked out the church. But you got to know how to deal with these white folks, because what they're going to do is they give you something in the right hand that you like, and then they take and put in your left hand something against your God, something against your black Messiah. Now, get yourself together and pray that God will send you a sharp black man that know how to deal with these folks, that know how to deal with them and know how to take his personality and work with these people. Now, you don't want to be working against them, but you want to be so smart they can't work against you. You got to make sure they don't work against you. You got to learn the game that they play, and you got to play it without them knowing you know it. Because they find out you know it, then they ain't going to let you play it at all. So you got to know the game. that they playing, but they don't know you know the game until an emergency come up, like Joe did with me. He didn't know I just wasn't shelling no beans. I was planning on getting up on that stand and handling them quarters so I could put a few of them in my pocket. So I watched him use the scale, and I learned how to use it too. The little part in the middle, which put it on number 8 because the 16 is a pound. He said, man, you done learn all this stuff. I said, yes. So he would always let me wait on the customers. That means I'm having the money. Gather yourself together and get you a strong black leader. Not none of these cowards. Not none of these guys that's going to negotiate with any little filthy thing just to be liked and get a stamp or two. Now go with me to 2 John chapter 1, verse 9 through 11. I want to show you something. This morning. Now I got to watch and pray. We're in the time of the end. You ain't no Negro. You ain't no Afro-American. You're black Israel. Take your name back. Don't let them know you got your name back. Your name only means anything that you got knowledge. Ain't nobody got to call you Israel. You got to know you're Israel. Let them keep calling you Robert Campbell or Johnny Joe or Billy Willie. But know who you really are so you can play the game. You don't need the name on you. You need the name in your head so you know how to deal with these demons and with these white folks as slick as Lord. You got to know how to deal with them, baby. You're in the end of the time. You're in the end time. And your life is in danger. And you got to know how to play the game. You got to know how to play it like Daniel played it. They didn't know Daniel was playing games. They thought Daniel was just going along with them because they named him Belteshazzar. No, Daniel had this thing because he was 10 times smarter than all of them anyway. When you know who you are, you're 10 times smarter than these people. But as long as you're laying around here trying to be a Negro or an Afro-American and accepting the cut-off name, you're going to be a servant. You're going to be a servant all the time. Now, I'm trying to show you how to be a winner. Go find you a black leader and vote him in. We thought we had it with Obama, man, but he turned out to be not the guy. He had the personality, but he didn't have the knowledge. You need a sharp black man that know how to deal with white folks. Oh, they is just as slick as they can be. But they can't out-slick you if you know who you are. You know, you got to know the game. The game don't never stop playing. You don't never stop playing the game just because you get saved. As a sucker born every day. You just have to know how to play the game with the police. I try to teach these boys how to play the game with the police. How many times did the police stop me when I was a young buck? Every day they used to come out and put you on the dashboard. One of the police, I don't want to call his name because he's a black police and he may have some relatives out there. But he used to come out and put you all the time. Campbell, what's in your car? What's in my car? What do you mean, what's in my car? Open the trunk. Okay, no problem. Well, what did I do this time? Where you get this from? I bought this in the barber shop. That's where I bought it from. He didn't know I had stole the whole shipment. But this was in that shipment that was missing. I said, well, it wasn't, I bought it in the barber shop for my girlfriend. Now, that's petty larceny if I did wrong. Now, leave me alone. He wanted to send me to the penitentiary for 7 years for grand larceny. And then when I got in the church and changed and did the right thing, he met me in the bank and said, Robert, you really changed. You're a good young man. And I took your picture off my dashboard. A wise man will change. A fool won't change. If you're a wise black man, you're going to change. They ain't going to be able to kill you. You're going to give yourself to the Most High, God. You're going to start serving Him, and He's going to give you divine protection. You're going to quit killing one another and acting a fool.